All right, good evening. It is 6:30 on Tuesday, November 14th, 2023. This is the meeting time and place for the regular meeting of the Northern Lebanon School Board of Directors. I now call this meeting to order. Director Bucks, would you lead us? Okay, thank you. Mrs. Martin, may I please have a roll call?
Yes. Bucks. Present. England.
Here.
Fowler.
Present.
Williams.
Here.
Murray. Here. Klein.
Here.
Erdman.
Here.
Marlowe.
Here.
Nom.
Present.
All members are present.
Great, thank you very much. We'll move to the adoption of tonight's agenda. Everyone has had an opportunity to review the agenda. May I receive a motion to adopt this evening's agenda, please? Thank you, Director England. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Murray. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote for adoption of the agenda. All in favor of approving the agenda, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. We will move to presentations for this evening. First off, the high school students of the month for November are Campbell Bomberger and Thomas Zito. This award is sponsored jointly by the Fredericksburg and Jonestown Lions Club. Are either of those two students here? I don't believe so. The middle school student for the month for November is Isabel Boltz. This award is sponsored by the Northern Lebanon County Rotary Club, and each recipient will be recognized at a future meeting of the Rotary Club. And I don't believe that she's here either. Okay, student board representative Carter. And I heard that I may have been pronouncing your last name wrong for many years. Could you tell us how to pronounce your last name? Kabika. Awesome, Carter. Thank you.
So the student council had, for the second year in a row, a record selling attendance within our dance for homecoming. Coming up in the works, we have class wars. That's going to be within the next month or so before Christmas break. December 8th is our hall decorating. December 22nd, we are planning another winter pep rally. Those with the fall pep rally being very, very popular with our student body. Very, very successful. I think that's just about it. After that, we do have a spring fling coming up March 16th. So we are kind of pushing King of Hearts back. It'll be the same format at King of Hearts, just later dates, spreading out all the dances for better attendance.
Great.
I was a little disappointed that the bonfire didn't quite make it up to the high school card.
I know some of the football players were a little late, but we can definitely work on that next year.
No, that's okay. Next year, we're going to be remodeling, so we're okay now.
Great. Thank you, Carter. Okay. Excuse me, Dr. Messinger, Superintendent's report.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it relatively short. I have reserved the right to make a few comments at the very end, though, on something. And just wanted to, we are just wrapped up the first quarter. And parent-teacher conferences are Monday and Tuesday if you're an elementary teacher, with then Thanksgiving break coming shortly after that. Even my son, who is not one to get up early, is said the other day, I can't believe we're that far already. And we are. So just wanted to just talk about, the importance of parent-teacher conferences, particularly for our younger kids. I know high school, it's a little more challenging, but it is a good opportunity to touch base and talk about your students. I know the teachers like to talk about the things they're doing well, and then the things that they could use some support with. So if you can get to those if you have kids in those grade levels. And other than that, just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We'll see you in December, and we have some new board members joining us in December that we'll have to get up to speed very quickly, but we'll do that right after Thanksgiving break.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Messinger? Okay, hearing none. Any old business for this evening? Okay, we'll move to public comment. All interested persons were asked to complete a written request to address the board prior to this evening's meeting. We understand that there are no items for public comment this evening. Is that correct, Secretary? Thank you. Okay, then we'll move to items for board action. It should be noted that public notice was given for this meeting in accordance with Act 84 of 1986. By notice of the president, the following action requires a voice vote. All votes in favor shall be stated with an aye or yes. All votes opposed shall be stated with a nay or no. All members abstaining shall state I abstain when prompted. The votes will be recorded in the minutes as a unanimous roll call vote unless there are any votes in opposition or abstention. If necessary, the president may subsequently call for a roll call vote to be recorded in the minutes. Item 8 on our agenda this evening is the consent agenda. We do have items 8.1 through 8.9 that were discussed at the committee meeting. Dr. Messinger, any notes?
We did add I shared in an email, we did add 2 substitutes to the list, but other than that, we ask that you approve the consent calendar as presented.
Okay, is there a motion to approve tonight's consent calendar?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Director Murray. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Klein. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of approving tonight's consent agenda, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. We will now move to discussion agenda. We do have 4 items for tonight's discussion agenda. Dr. Messinger.
9.1 are the winter assistants and spring assistant coaches.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt 9.1?
Motion to adopt 9.1.
Okay, thank you, Director Marlowe. Is there a second? Thank you, Director England. Any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion on 9.1, the coaches list. All in favor, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and my vote is also a yes. That is an 8-1 vote. Motion carries. We will move to 9.2. This is curriculum. Dr. Messinger.
9.2 is the AP biology curriculum.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt item 9.2?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Bucks. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Murray. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, we'll move immediately to the vote. All in favor of approving 9.2 curriculum, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, my vote is also a yes. That also carries it at 8-1 vote. Thank you very much. And 9.3 middle and high school renovations. Dr. Messinger.
Yeah, attached are the bids for the main construction companies, general construction, electric construction, mechanical. And I'm missing one, Brad, what am I, plumbing. Thanks, yes. I want to just be clear that those are the bids for each of those companies that we're voting on tonight. As shared last week, there are additional soft costs that go into projects. So those are the fees that we pay for our permits, the design fees to Crabtree, to our engineer, and those types of things, furniture. So just to be clear that we're approving the bids. However, the project itself has some soft costs. If you remember from last week, they gave us a number that was pretty close. I have a new updated estimate of $47,898,493. In that number includes $165,000 towards improvements that Bethel Township has asked for if we don't receive the grant that we're trying to get for that. And we can be anywhere in between there. We could get a partial grant for some of it. We could get nothing. We could get all of it. And in addition, some of that work that isn't done right now, those costs fluctuate a little bit. So it's not an exact number, but just want to make sure that we understand that the bids is not the entire cost.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Messinger? Okay, hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve item 9.3? And before we get that motion, I just want to specify and read what this motion is approving. So this is a motion to approve the attached bids for the Northern Lebanon Middle School and High School renovations and additions project contingent upon approval of the final land development plan by Bethel Township Board of Supervisors, that upon approval of the final land development plan by Bethel Township, notice to proceed shall be issued to the contractors listed. So at this point, I'll receive a motion to that end. You don't need to repeat it, but you can just say motion as stated.
Motion as stated.
Great. Thank you, Director Bucks. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Marlowe. Any discussion regarding 9.3? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving this motion for 9.3 renovations, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Yes. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, my vote is also a yes. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And lastly, 9.4.
Just a redesignation, Leanne Snyder, who's been helping us as a classified, in a classified position, to become a professional / classified day-to-day sub.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve 9.4?
Motion to approve 9.4.
Thank you, Director Murray. Is there a second? Great. Thank you, Director Fowler. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving 9.4, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, my vote is also a yes. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. There is nothing for information under item 10 for this evening. So we'll move directly to item 11. This is our board reports. CTC, Director Klein, any report? Okay, thank you. IU 13, Director Murray.
No report other than what was attached.
Great, thank you. Legislative Liaison, Director England.
Yes. While standing outside of a polling place last week, one of the voters asked me, how high do you need to raise the taxes? I do have 2 properties in the district. And I certainly feel like this is a fair question that deserves an answer. Unfortunately, he hurried into the building and I didn't have a chance to give him an adequate answer. So I would like to take this opportunity to give a brief overview regarding taxes and what the authority and responsibility of the local school board is in this issue that often feels controversial. First, I think it's important to point out that the federal government does not have any specific jurisdiction related to public education. In the 1973 ruling, San Antonio Independent School District versus Rodriguez, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that education is not a fundamental right under the U.S. Constitution, and that states have been delegated with the authority to discern the best option for their particular state in regards to the funding for their public schools. Second, it's critical to remember that in our state, the legislators in Harrisburg have determined that property taxes are the means by which Pennsylvania schools are funded. There have been efforts to change this policy at times, but for now, property taxes are the approved method of providing revenue to public school districts. So if you have creative ideas for a more equitable revenue stream, I encourage you to speak to our state senator and state representative, as that is their issue and that is their jurisdiction. Third, out of the 500 public school districts in Pennsylvania, NL consistently lands in the lowest 20% when it comes to the tax burden that it places on its citizens. Previous NL school boards have voted to not raise taxes repeatedly over a number of years, which was no doubt applauded by those who own a large amount of land in the district. But the reality is that not raising taxes had at least 2 unintended consequences. First, the state of Pennsylvania looked at our budget and concluded that we must not need as much of their money if we didn't raise taxes, and they chose to cut back on how much they contributed to our district. Also, by not raising taxes at all, NLSD fell behind the curve in making needed upgrades to the physical plant, forcing them into a default mode of fixing items as they broke down rather than making strategic repairs in a timely manner. Fourth, NLSD is making strides to improve the learning environment for its students. It would have cost significantly more money over the next 30 years to upgrade the 4 elementary schools than to build this beautiful building that we're in tonight that offers so many additional benefits than the other elementary buildings ever could. So for those who may struggle with the amount of money that is being spent on the building project that we just approved to remodel and update the secondary schools, I would simply ask that you reserve judgment on this decision until you have taken a tour of the current high school building, which is largely unchanged since it was built in 1958. And as we were given the Director of Business Affairs report, I think last month, showing the tax rates and how we will need to probably do at least one more larger tax increase and then drop back to a more reasonable 2 to 3.5% range for the foreseeable future. The reason we need to do that is to right the ship and help us get in front of building maintenance needs, purchasing the new elementary school as well as the secondary school upgrade to be able to pay for that in 25 years and put NL in the best position possible to provide a world-class education for the students of our district. Let me be quick to acknowledge that buildings do not educate the next generation, but when they are antiquated and desperately needing upgraded, and if you visited the restrooms in the high school lately, I think you would have to agree that's true, it is a much more difficult proposition. So with the physical plant being addressed, the administration is now released to accelerate their focus on building a positive culture and strategically addressing the educational needs of our students, which is the main reason why we exist. So the take-home points are the state of Pennsylvania determines how we get our taxes, currently by taxing our properties. And I hope there's a better understanding of why this board is needed to raise taxes more than normal recently. So I hope this brief explanation helps everyone to understand the significant part they play in helping to fund NLSD, which in reality belongs to the citizens of this district. And as a board, we are grateful for your contributions and we'll continue to do our best to spend your money well.
Great, thank you, Director England. PSBA, Director Bucks.
On November 4th, PSBA had their voting for their proposed amendments for the legislative platform. As the PSBA liaison, I attended virtually and participated in the voting. From year to year, the legislative platform remains pretty constant and they just make some needed updates. The legislative platform that was last year is largely the same in the upcoming year. They made two notable changes. Excuse me. One was in point 2 of the legislative platform concepts, which is strengthen the work of local school boards. We voted for an important addition that would allow school districts the option to specify mechanisms for fulfilling public notice requirements, which are not limited to newspapers. So right now, whenever public notice needs to be made for school board meetings or any items of business like that, it needs to happen in a public newspaper, which costs quite a bit of money and most people don't actually receive. And so if this platform moves forward to, well, it will move forward to the legislators if they buy into that and make some changes to the rules about that, then that could save us money and help us be more efficient and effective. The other change of interest falls under item 3 of the legislative platform, which is support for increased equity and accountability. This is the part of the legislative platform that includes charter school reform. And we voted for the addition in the legislative platform to ask for withholding of payment to charter schools for each student in the absence of validated current residency. And so it's just requiring students to have that validated residency before the local school districts have to pay out to the charter schools if they're attending a charter school. So that was November 4th. One other item that came across my email as from PSBA is regarding the Sunshine Act. There was a recent ruling from the Commonwealth Court of PA on November 8th, Coleman versus Parkland School District. And they ruled that the school district violated the Sunshine Act. What was happening is they were adding items to the agenda within 24 or under 24 hours before the meeting and then voting on those topics. And they ruled very clearly that that violated the Sunshine Act. There's only 3 exceptions when a school district can do that. And that's largely emergencies or when it doesn't involve contracts or money. So items that are relatively insignificant outside of emergencies. And so that's just one thing that I know Brooke helps us stay in line to staying in line with the Sunshine Act. And that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Excellent report. Was there any talk at all about reducing the size of the platform that PSBA does every year?
You mean
Like to
lowering
focus?
the number
Yeah.
of the talking points?
Yeah.
Not that stuck out to me. There's 3 main talking points and then they're kind of subheaded under that. I was surprised how much discussion there was over tiny details that to me was largely semantics.
Hmm.
Especially considering that this is just what we're going to the legislators with. It's not like we're putting this into law.
Right.
It's just, we're asking for this. We know that much of this isn't going to happen, but we've spent a lot of time
Right.
talking about it.
Right. Great, thanks. Sorry to put you on the spot. You can have your water now. Okay, new business.
I'm just gonna flip flop these real quickly. Our reorg meeting is the first Tuesday in December. I have that right? Okay. Beginning at 5:30. Typically, we do reorg, which takes 20 minutes or so. And then take a quick break if anybody needs one, and then we start the meeting right after that. We will have to, we'll send out an email and start having discussions about nominations for that evening. But that's coming up in December. We do have a second meeting if needed. We typically in December, due to concerts and everything else going on, try to do one, but and right now I'm planning on that, but we do have a second one if needed. So, but 5:30. And
Before we move on.
yeah.
Is there from the board members that will continue, minus the 3 that will not, is there a volunteer that would like to do the temporary president role for next month? You don't have to indicate now. We can do it over email in the next month. But if there's a volunteer, we'd like to. Director Klein? Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
only
Okay.
from the holdover members, not
Right,
someone who's
correct,
reelected.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Director
Thank you.
Klein, you have done an excellent job in that position in the past.
Okay.
All right. And finally, last but not least, 3 board members. This is their last meeting. I hope that when you got on, for Nate Erdman 8 years ago, and for Michelle Bucks 5 years ago, and for Mike Marlowe 4 years ago, that you've learned some things, that you feel good about some of the things you've accomplished. I remember, Nate, you distinctly telling me we need some improvements to the buildings, the facilities, athletics, things like that. And we've been able to accomplish some of that. And I know Michelle and Mike, we've talked about different things along the way as well. I personally want to thank you for the opportunity to work with you for the past 4 years. I wish you the best. I don't know what you're gonna do with all your free time. I think that's one thing that people don't understand is how much time can be involved, particularly if you're really reading everything, if you're going to the trainings and doing those kinds of things, it can be cumbersome. So you'll have some free time. I hope you guys will enjoy that. You're welcome back at any time. But we do have a parting gift for you. And while I get those, if anyone else wants to say anything, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah, I would just like to say to the 3 of you that it's been a distinct pleasure to serve alongside you for the last 4 years. I know we've been through a lot of challenges, a lot of developments, a lot of successes. I think I mostly appreciate that in the places where we may not agree, it has been professional and cordial, and it's going to be sad to see the 3 of you go. So thank you for your service and thank you for the work that you've done. Any parting words for the 3 directors that are leaving us?
I guess I'll go first. I just wanted to say that I'm very thankful to have been able to serve our community, the students, and the employees of Northern Lebanon School District the last 8 years. I remember 30 years ago sitting in Mr. Dunmore's American Government class, and one of his daily messages was always get involved with your local government once you're out of here. And so after 15, I guess it was 25 years, 24 years, whatever, but I decided to take Mr. Dunmoyer up on that advice and get involved with school board. And as Gary alluded to a little earlier ago, there were three main reasons that I did this. And one was because I felt like I wanted to try to be a helping cause to bring new programs to our school. I think we did that by adding some new academic programs, student assistance programs just in the last year or two. Gary and his administration have set up some things to help new students coming in to feel more like give them mentors and stuff. So I was proud of those efforts. And some extracurricular programs. We added a boys volleyball program. I was happy to see that. And just other extracurricular programs in general. Second reason I ran was because I wanted to be a part of hopefully improving facilities. And it's kind of neat for me now to drive by. When I drive by, I don't get up this way much because I live on the other end of the districts, but it's actually nice to see my tax money, like being able to witness what it's being spent on finally, because my first 4 years, it's the same thing since basically 1958 or whatever. And now we're starting to see some nice things occurring here. So the facility upgrades, I would have loved to see another building, but I guess we just couldn't swing that with a high school, but hopefully the renovations can help with that. And the third reason was I was starting to get pretty frustrated because I had seen some great people here that are still in our district that I felt were getting poached off for political reasons, and that was extracurricular coaches. And we lost Jack Beidler, who's a phenomenal teacher here, phenomenal football coach, taught kids a ton of great life lessons. And I heard the nitty gritty of why he was no longer coaching, and that kind of got my blood boiling. And then later, Gary Bouchette, I felt was poached off for political reasons also. So that kind of was the final straw. And I felt I'm going to get involved with this. And I'm proud to say that in my 8 years, my 8 years, but as a board and a team of 10 with our superintendent, there's been zero political movements towards poaching coaches anymore. Even if some of us have feelings like we felt there should be improvements and things, everyone stayed very ethical, and we've allowed our administration to, and athletic directors and band directors and everything, we've let them do their job. So I'm very proud that no coaches were poached here during the last 8 years. So I just want to thank the community for giving me a chance to serve. And the first 3 or 4 years, it didn't seem like a lot got done. A lot didn't get done, but with the addition of Gary coming on, I think he really did a great job solidifying and creating an actual team of 10. That was always a slogan being thrown around, but it wasn't true my first 4 years. Like it wasn't a team effort, but it takes a strong leader to be able to instill that. And Gary did that. And I look forward to him continuing to be a head coach here and mold the next team of 10 for his last 4 years on the job. Thank you.
So I have a couple pages here to go through, but since Mr. Urban took all the time and Barry needs to get out of here tonight, I'll keep it short. I'll come back and use that podium later to get the rest of it out. But it has been a pleasure serving on this board with all of you. Stacy, you told me it wouldn't be that much work. I don't know about that.
My sales pitch.
Yeah, it was a good sales pitch. Michelle, you and I haven't always aligned on things. The one thing, you were right about a lot of things, but the one thing that I recall you being right about in the very beginning, you told me when we met, you said you really won't understand this for a year or so. I don't know if you remember telling me that. I'll tell that to the board members that are coming on. it will take a little bit of time to figure out the logistics of how this stuff works and how you get things done. 4 years in, I still think there's some learning to be done. So anyway, I've enjoyed it a lot. I do think the team of 10 has gotten a lot done. Even when we've disagreed on things, I think we've done it in a civil way, which I just think that is an incredible example to the district. Gary is working on culture. He says culture is one of the big drivers here. And I think, one of the things that we talk about a lot is that leaders create the culture that drive behavior that get results. So leadership is this team as well. This team, Gary's team, and I think how we conduct ourselves helps to set that culture. You go back 8+ years, and that was not this board. So doesn't mean we have to agree on everything, and we didn't. But I think we did in a pretty civil way. Got a lot done even during COVID, right? COVID took up, I don't know, I was on a COVID task force for first 2 years of the board, and then it felt like we started to do things. So anyway, it's been a pleasure doing that. The one other thing I'd say, and I think Director England and Bucks, talked about the kind of the advocacy side of things, the government side, et cetera. I think, and Director England talked about the investment side. I think we have to continue to invest in this district. That does mean, money. It means other things as well, though. But I think if we don't, this district will suffer greatly. We went through a period of not investing, and now we're back on a path of investing. And I think we're going to get over that hump. But if anyone thinks that school choice is not here right now, it already is, right? Charter school is school choice. We probably will spend $2 million-ish, over $2 million on charter schools. That is the very beginning of school choice. Northern Lebanon has to be the school of choice. And because we are competing there, and that's just kind of the surface of it. I think it's, what's coming down the road will make it even harder. But, the one thing I would suggest, and I'll stand up there and certainly advocate for it later on, is that, focusing on where that funding's coming from, those sources is probably a greater effort. And I think this board has started to do some of that, truly go out there and advocate and, go down the legislative paths and work on those things. Because in the end, expenses are going up everywhere. Every household's expense is going up. Inflation happens. All those things happen. I think the district has done a very good job of controlling expenses, really managing the budget, what we have. But things do continue to increase. So not continuing to invest, I think could be, it's a death sentence for a school district. So my advice is continue to fight, continue to advocate, continue to look for ways to fund this district and make it the school of choice. That's all I've got.
I didn't realize we were going to have to talk tonight. So first, I'm proud to have been a part of this board for the past 5 years. I'm proud of what we have been able to accomplish. I'm not sure what I expected when I decided to try to be appointed and run for school board. It was not the past 5 years. That's not what I was expecting. But I'm proud that we were able to bring Gary in to lead the district. I'm proud of many of the hires that we were able to make in teachers and administration. And I'm really happy to see the impact that they're having on the district. I wanted to get involved because I care very deeply about education. I wanted our students to learn more deeply, better, and be more well prepared for life after NL. Because of the way the last 5 years unfolded, I don't feel that I was able to look at that as much, but I do feel, and I've heard Gary talking, that focus is getting there, and that makes me feel a little better walking away knowing that those wheels are in motion. But with saying that, it's also important that, that this building is amazing. it empowers our students and our teachers to do their best. I'm really happy to see that we're going to improve the secondary building. Again, giving the tools to our students and teachers to move forward, so that I'm happy with what we were able to accomplish there. I just want to say that anybody out there that does care very deeply about education, anybody listening, pay attention, get involved, speak to administration, speak to board members. Don't just believe what you hear out in the gossip vine. And if you care about education and if you care about preparing children for the future, no matter if it's technical school, military, business, college, be involved and be willing to invest in education. And don't be afraid to step up into a school board seat. All of us here have learned how to do it. Anybody out there can as well. So put your money and your time where your mouth is. And if education is a priority, get involved and pay attention. And thank you.
Thank you. Well said, all three of you. Really appreciate it. Okay, dates to remember. They're on your agenda. There is no need for a meeting next week, so we were holding that in case the bids had not come through. There is no need for a meeting next week. So with that, we'll move to adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
May I just make one
sure.
quick comment?
Sure.
I just wanted to comment on the school play and give kudos to the Northern Lebanon Drama Club. I thought they did an excellent job. Students were great.
Great.
It was hilarious and funny all at the same time. I just wanted to say that they did a great job.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Director Marlowe. Is there a second? Director Bucks, thank you. Sorry, Nate. Is there any discussion, Nate? No? Okay. All in favor of adjourning tonight's meeting, say aye or yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Oh, my.